Oh, there you are. Look at that. Oh man, I feel
Does that work?
underdressed. Yeah, I feel underdressed. Look at this,
Well,
man.
you've got the better
I
background.
do I do have the
We've
video
got curtains.
I got the video
Oh,
violence
nice.
shirt going on. So I got that from my video violence vinyl. So there you go. So
All right, man.
yeah,
That looks great.
you're a vinyl lover yourself, I believe. So
I am. I've got too many, actually. I've
never.
gotten to the point where I've got to stop just for space.
Yeah,
It's just-
well, I need better shelving for my vinyl.
yeah, totally.
but,
Totally.
but that is another story. Yes, folks, my friends, this is the 15th anniversary special Final Cut episode, and I am getting to talk to a man I have not had a chance to talk to for a while. It is none other than filmmaker extraordinaire, the one and only Mr. Cole Meredith, who also is busting into my market of movie reviewing and taking over. He's soon going to be like 100,000 subscribers, no problem, because of the shades alone. The shades alone are worth it. How you doing, man?
Solid. I'm doing really good. Glad to be here. This is fantastic. Perfect night for it, man.
Yeah, happy to have you back here in on the Final Cut. It's not in the spoiler room. This is the Final Cut. So we did the 10th. Do you realize it's been like 5 years at least that we've known, even more than that?
At least, well, we've known each other probably since 2013.
Well, yes.
That's when I did the re-release for that movie you reviewed.
Yeah.
I started doing Spoiler Room a couple years after that. So yeah, probably 5 years.
Yeah,
since we've been working professionally. Anyway,
absolutely, because you were in one of our 10th anniversary episodes where you got me to watch a film I had not watched before, and we were watching another one tonight. We watched one, and we're going to review one today that I had not seen before.
All right.
So, and it's called Altered. If you folks have not seen the title, it is the 15th anniversary special. I've asked my Spoiler Room crews to pick a movie, and we'll talk about it here on a little bit of an extended version of the Final Cut. Still won't be spoilery, but it may be a little bit longer. So, Cole, since you did pick it, sir, please, by all means, could you lay out the synopsis for Altered 2006?
Well, this is sort of like a fire in the sky type of thing if those characters had gone out and gotten revenge. In fact, the lead character here is very much a Travis Walton type of clone. You could call them rednecks, and that would not be stereotypical. One guy has a Confederate flag on the side of his coat, but they all get what's coming to them. The plot, in short, is these four friends who've been abducted by aliens 15 years prior, I believe. They're probably in their mid-20s. They've been hunting these aliens in the forest for the entire time. At least a few of them have. And they finally managed to capture one. And in a moment of panic, take it to this isolated location where the one friend who wasn't involved has been sort of hiding out and staying under the radar for the entire time. They sort of barge in on him, and the movie's marketed as four friends seek revenge on the alien who abducted them, but that's really not what it is. I mean, once they get into the shed, it's sort of like, okay, a survival story. What the hell are we going to do here? Four characters in an isolated location with nothing but darkness around them, just trying to think their way out. But that's the basic premise. From Eduardo Sanchez, half of the team behind the original Blair Witch.
Yeah, and Mr. Eduardo Sanchez, full disclosure, his works are hit and miss with me. I am one of my few friends who really was not that impressed with Blair Witch.
Oh, yeah.
I think, don't get me wrong, I respect it for what they did. The fact they took this low budget film and just built so much hype around it that it took off. I mean, it is impressive what they did with it. The story around Blair Witch always fascinated me more than the actual movie itself. Actually, all the hype, the faux documentary, the books, everything. Now, Alter didn't have that built up around it, but Eduardo Sanchez, he also abandoning the found footage style for a more traditional narrative. And Cole, why'd you pick Altered? What is it about Altered that you enjoy?
Well, I'm a fan of his work, which deals with PTSD a lot
Hmm.
of the time. Lovely
Hmm.
Molly, I think, is an absolute classic. Probably one of the most underappreciated horror films of all time. Whenever anybody says, it's Halloween, what's a gem I haven't seen? Lovely Molly comes up. He also did probably the best Sasquatch movie, maybe one of the only good Sasquatch movies, which is Exists,
Hmm.
which is absolutely phenomenal, I think, for a found footage Sasquatch movie. It's as good as you're going to get. But this very much deals with PTSD and kind of, the ramifications of what has happened in the past and the consequences of the future. I mean, this guy has told his friends, we cannot seek revenge. This is not a thing to do, and they go ahead with it. And, spoilers? Are we talking spoilers? I mean, this
We
is
no, we hold it a little bit tight with the
hold it
spoilers
back
with
with the
this.
final cut.
Hold
Okay.
it back with the final
Well,
cut. This isn't the spoiler room,
yeah,
but
their actions have consequences,
they
So
do.
it's, I mean, you could replace the aliens, even though the alien stuff I think is well done. They could have gone a very easy route here and just gone with the gray alien route and just done a Saw thing where these four guys torture this little gray alien for an hour and a half, which is actually how this thing was marketed. But that's
Hmm.
not at all what it is. There's some really original ideas with the bites and,
Hmm.
a lot of the makeup that goes around with that and why these things are here. And these aliens are nasty, man. These things are really, really wicked. There
Yeah.
are some scenes in here and some practical
Hmm.
effects. This is 2006, when a lot of people were going the sci-fi CGI channel route, and the majority of this is practical, and it looks really, really good. But aside from all of the extraterrestrial stuff, you could replace the aliens with Vietnam veterans. In fact, if I had one suggestion, it would have been I would have made these characters all about 10 years older, and I think that would have made a lot of this make more sense. You know, just I think they tried to cast it young. It's 2006, and I get it, but yeah, I would have made the cast a little bit more older and rugged. But
Yeah, a little bit older, a little more rugged. I get the PTSD angle on it. I mean, that's what a lot of the alien invasion films cover. Personally, I haven't revisited Fire in the Sky until since I watched it in the theater, and I was probably too young to really get it. And I've been meaning to go back to it because there's many people who have just praised that film, and me, when I watched it, it bugged the hell out of me. I just did not like it. I'm not quite sure what, but it just turned me off, and I just never went back to visit it. So, when I saw this, I did get that Fire in the Sky vibe. And there's parts of this film I really enjoy. I think for me, I found it entertaining. I didn't find it great. There's the number of the flaws in here that I found was kind of in the screenplay. It wasn't in the performances. I like the cast. The cast does well with what they have. Like you said, the practical effects in here, the aliens looked good. I mean, there wasn't a huge advanced design to them, but they looked creepy. They looked the way you wanted to, and the way they lit them, and practical. Thank you. Practical throughout, just through the whole film is practical effects. So thank you there, Mr. Sanchez. I think the only the problem, and even some of the cinematography, I think some of the cinematography in here, considering they're dealing with pretty much one location, was good. But for me, I think the problem I had was with the script itself. Some of the decisions that the people make in here, given their situation, just took me out of it because I was like, really? Really? I mean, I know what they're dealing with, Cole, and you can maybe set me straight, but there's just a few of them to where I'm like, you decided to do that. Like, I mean, a little bit of spoilery, folks, but obviously this crew has a history. They witnessed aliens, they were victims of aliens experimentation, but they told people and people didn't believe them. Well, now they have an alien, and a couple of the a couple of the times where they could have just cleared their name, they didn't. And I don't know, man. I think those were the
cleared their name.
well, because they were the one guy was convicted of what happened to his little brother, and the other ones were considered crazy, as they mentioned in dialogue, because they were considered kooks because the one guy who they go to who should know about the aliens, um hashtag folks, there's going to be spoilers here, not deep spoilers, but I can't help it, but uh, the guy they go to of the friend group who they knows most about the aliens, he's the one that said, oh, they're all crazy. And I'm like, okay, now you have an alien and you choose not to take it to town to prove that you weren't crazy, and I guess it was a few choices like that as well. Or the part with his girlfriend. Again, I'm not trying to spoil everything. The part with his girlfriend where they show up at his place and she busts into the garage and sees what's all going on. He goes, I'll tell you later. And I'm sure, sir, you're a well domesticated man, and I am a domesticated man, 22 years with my wife. I'm like, no, you don't have what happened in the garage and say, you know what, honey, I'll just tell you later. It doesn't work.
I think in those redneck towns, yeah, I think it does. I think there's a lot of things that go on in those sheds. I mean, with these characters in this situation, for me, it made sense, but I could see that viewpoint totally. Because Sunday said the same thing, and I'm saying, honey, this isn't Wisconsin. I mean, this is way out there in the sticks. These guys have Confederate flags on their coats.
And that was the one thing that was getting me, was the fact, okay, these guys aren't the brightest bulbs on the tree. I get, I get that, but I think it was those bits of decision that kind of threw me out a little bit too far. I was like, dude, you've been waking up with cold sweats, you've been having nightmares, and yeah, and then you've got a chance to explain to your...
Yeah, but he can't take it in, because if he takes it in, if anything happens to the alien, that's his worry.
No,
that's his whole motivation.
Right, but he could show her. He pushes her away from the room before she actually gets a look at anything.
Well, if it looks her in the eye, then
Well, I know, but fine, reveal a claw then or something.
I suppose, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
And I understand why they put that in there, because then it motivated for later on, for a scene later on that happens. Again, not too many spoilers. We're trying to go soft spoilers, but
it's hard.
It is hard with this film, but I guess for me, it was just those moments that kind of are the ones that took me a bit out of the film. Overall, I think it's a decent. I don't think it's a horrible film, because of the other elements, but it's just that the script stuff. I just wish they would have taken a few more choices, or conveyed differently. Like there's the scene in the field where we learn our main character has something a little bit special with him, and it was hard to convey whether or not what was he was seeing was actually happening, or if he was tuning in to a different place where he could see aliens. And that was not conveyed very well. I mean, again, I dig this cast. You're right. Older would have maybe been a bit better, though. Especially with the time frame, because it was supposed to be 15 years later and they all look like they're in their late 20s. So you're like, okay, so what? You were mid-teenagers when this happened?
Well, I just think an older cast would have been able to do the PTSD thing better.
Yeah.
But that's just me being 42. I mean, I saw this a couple years after it came out.
Sure.
But even then I thought the same thing. As a guy, I would have been in my early 30s, something like that. I still thought the same thing, but
you know, and the fact, one thing I do appreciate is the fact they committed to the fact that and if you ever watch the trailer, they actually have aliens. Okay, it's not like they're imagining, they suffered the trauma and these aren't actually aliens, these are figments of whatever trauma. No, there's an actual alien there, at least one, if not more. So I liked that. I liked that, and there's some creepy moments in here, I think. Did you find some moments in here actually legitimately like creepy?
Oh yeah, I think it's a horrifying film. I think it's a masterpiece. I really do. I think this is my favorite film of 2006.
Wow.
Sure.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just, it's got that thing that I like, which is simplicity and precision.
Hmm.
which not many films have. I mean, the psychic stuff is, a little bit of a gray area, but certainly if you can cut The Shining slack, you can cut this slack because there's like
Well,
two scenes, And plus, I like, oh man, all the practical effects. Nowadays, you get this cheesy CGI head explosion, but they actually do it practically. Where I
mhm.
can't, no spoilers, but there's a psychic fight with an alien at the end.
Yeah.
Where nowadays it would just be, if they had done it with CG in 2006, it would
Hmm.
be cringe now.
Oh
It would
yeah.
just be awful.
Well, no, I
So
mean,
what
I mean that's
watching it
go
again, I
ahead.
was amazed at how well so much of it is aged. Like even the spaceship at the end
Hmm.
looks better than a lot of stuff I see now. A
Hmm.
lot. I mean, Sunny and I were watching it, and she's like, "What? What year?" I'm like, "I think it's 2008." And then I looked it up, and I'm like, "Oh no, 2006."
2006. Yeah.
Like what they did on the shoestring, I thought
Hmm.
was just fantastic and didn't take the easy way out. CG when it's absolutely necessary. When you need to put a ship in the sky, there you go. You know. But if you got an alien strapped to a table, man, just don't take the easy way out. Get some effects artists in there. Heck,
Yeah.
heck yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I mean we definitely agree on that. I'm always for practical effects. And one thing I do give respect for Eduardo Sanchez is the fact that he can do a lot with a small um, budget. He
Yeah.
is even as much as it took off with Blair Witch and he got bigger budget films. It's still fairly smaller budgets for what he's done. A lot of his films that he's done. So. Um, yeah, I mean it's as far as alien abduction film the genre goes, I think this film is very watchable. It's for me it wasn't a full solid script as I mentioned. This almost felt like, I think I would have probably enjoyed it a bit more had it been a shorter film, like a short film almost, like,
Hmm.
maybe because it's 87 minutes, and I honestly think you could lean it down, and maybe that was his original concept, to a
Maybe.
45 minute, an hour film for sure, and it'd be really tight because there's just a little bit of padding in here for me anyway. But I'm glad I got a chance to see it, and I appreciate you picking this film because it's one of those that was always on my list. And you'd go, the routine. You go to Netflix or whatnot, scroll. Huh? Maybe I should watch that. I'll watch it later. Scroll, and then you fall asleep while scrolling through all the films that are available, and then you're like, "Oh, okay, I'll watch it next time." So I'm glad I got a chance to watch it. Now, you, sir, have your own movie review show. So, do you have a rating system that you like to use for your show or whatnot, or just a recommendation for folks with this film? I think they might know already, but your final thought with Altered and your rating.
Oh, yeah, it would be a thumbs up.
Mhm,
I think this is just a really solid, it's a solid B movie. It's a
mhm.
B movie that was done with a low budget, but all of the choices weren't made for artistic purposes. It is a commercial piece. And I think it works as such. It's, as you said, the cinematography, which I just looked the cinematographer up, man. He did like Looper,
Mhm.
the remake of Carrie. He's done some Knives Out.
Yeah,
Maybe he's doing the sequel.
hopefully.
So yeah, so there's a reason this movie looks fantastic, and I recommend it. Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't typically give ratings. I
No,
review
that's cool.
movies. I review movies for fun. In fact, I rarely talk about what I don't like. So if I was to give a movie a low rating, I wouldn't even talk about it.
Fair enough, fair enough. We always try to find a positive here in the final cut, and I think there is a lot of positive here in Altered. It leans more towards the indie, the indie spirit, the indie style, small cast, one location type of deal. They do a lot with a little, and I respect all of that. I think for me, if the script maybe was a little tighter, and I understand, don't get me wrong, I understand these are redneck cliche guys, especially the one guy. Um, and I think that's what I didn't quite like most of the characters. So I think for me, that's where it was a little bit of a disconnect as well. I still give it 3.5 stubs, though. I think it's watchable for sure. I think if you like alien abduction films, it is definitely one of the better ones out there, especially with a lower cast, a lower budget. And yeah, it should be, especially if you're a fan of Eduardo Sanchez's work and haven't seen it yet. Yeah, it definitely has his style in it. And I'm glad he didn't do found footage with it. I've seen, with this type of story, you almost could have, but I'm glad he didn't. So there you have it, folks. Our 15th anniversary special of the Final Cut on Altered 2006. Mr. Cole Meredith, as always, licensed to shill, my man. And I know you got some stuff in the hopper. I am waiting with anticipation, sir. I am drooling over here. Please, I know you've got some stuff to plug, so please plug away.
All right, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I've got a movie coming out called Rise from Shadows and Lovers Productions. We have a page on Facebook, also Blue City Reviews on YouTube. Thanks for having me. This was a blast, man. It's a
Absolutely.
blast.
Absolutely. And glad to have you on. I'll put links in the body of the video. And yeah, check out his stuff. Blue City Reviews, very positive stuff, and always a pleasure, Cole. So thank you, folks. And just remember, until next time, keep that ticket stub.